Welcome to the Culer Corner podcast with your host Jose Gonzalez and
Ayham.
And Ariel Pineda.
now let me just start this episode by saying there was some shameful refereeing against Real Sociedad. Gil Manzano is worse than Epstein. He is worse than Diddy. He is worse than any historical figure you can think of that has done terrible things. He is worse than them. Now, I'm not saying this with anger. Actually, no. Yes, I am. I'm saying this with a lot of anger. This guy hates Barcelona. He despises Barcelona with a passion. This guy shouldn't be a referee in any Barcelona game or in La Liga at all because everything he does directly benefits Real Madrid. This guy has been making some horrible, horrible calls this entire game. And I just want to come out here to the world and say how disappointed, angry I am at La Liga's current refereeing situation, and also how this guy has committed worse. He should be arrested. He should be tried. This guy has done things that are objectively worse than crimes. Like if he went to court, he would get the death penalty. I'm sure of it. Even in countries that don't have death penalty, they would do it just for him. This guy is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. He's worse than Diddy. I digress.
Yeah, to be honest, this day of football, we just saw terrible refs all around. I mean, if you watch the AFCON final, terrible refereeing decisions. I mean, you watch the Barca game, terrible refereeing decisions. VAR is completely useless. I mean, what's the point of VAR? I mean, they have a bunch of men looking at a screen and they can't make a decision. They're playing it back. How many times? They're taking 10 minutes to play it back and they can't make a decision, man. I saw it the first 5 seconds. I could see it was a terrible decision. How is VAR this unprofessional? They're a bunch of, and they might as well have gone to the street, picked the 3 random men, put them in a room. They kidnapped 3 men, put them in a room, and they just don't know nothing about football, man. It's absolute disgrace. That's what it is, a disgrace.
Not only that,
Yeah,
but it took VAR 20 minutes to show us on the TV that the call was offside. It took them 20 minutes to replay it and show that it was offside. That should tell you more than enough about what's going on with the VAR situation and with the refereeing situation. If it takes you 20 minutes to show that one clip is offside, then that tells you all that you need to know. Not only that, they used the wrong frame as well. For Lamine Yamal's goal, they used the wrong frame to show that he was offside.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ayham. But a report came out right from Chequeo VAR that the frame that they used when they got to it was wrong. It was like, listen, there's no more blatant robbery than the VAR, like people coming back and saying like, yeah, you know what, we messed up. Like, yeah, it's our bad. We lost y'all the game. You know, points are important in the league. So anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I just want to say that what you said, they used the wrong frame for the minimum offside, and that cost us the lead early in the game. With that lead, the whole game would have been different. Barcelona, they would have had the momentum, they would have gained traction in that game, and the outcome would have been possibly different. Barcelona would have gotten 3 points and won that game. But because the VAR isn't helpful at all, and it's just a group of men that are just put into the room doing absolutely nothing, and they're on their phones while they're watching the game. It just shows like how they're completely useless. We should go back to 2010 when we didn't have VAR, and games will be more fairly ref than they are nowadays, especially without Gil Manzano as referee.
Yeah, Gil Manzano, horrible guy. And if you guys are gonna be like Ariel and you're gonna hit the history books, then you would know that at this exact same stadium last season this happened as well, off by millimeters. Genuinely, like the feet sizes and like heels are determining on how, like, if it's offside or not, like millimeters. Then I think everyone should just start playing barefoot because then it would just be like the margins would be smaller, and also we would get more viewership in La Liga as well because you can see the players' feet.
Yeah, so I like these
Yeah,
statements,
so
especially Ayham talking about 2010s. I want to go even back in the 80s, back in my playing days. So I used to be able to 2 foot people. Honestly, the fans enjoyed. The fans got hyped every time I paralyzed this one dude, um, from the waist up. I paralyzed him. He couldn't walk for 40 years. And then what they did, they snapped him in half. They snapped him in half, and then he could later on, he could walk again. But he continued playing that same match. That's the same type of passion, and it increases viewership. The fans were hyped to see this tackle. I mean, they get fired up, and this is what we need in these type of seasons. We need that passion back. We need that aggressiveness. None of this protecting the players. I mean, what is this? I mean, I get that we're a professional league. We want to protect the players, but why can't we just let people 2 foot each other whenever they want?
Yeah, so I just want to go back to what Jose said about last season when they did this. Last season they literally confused Lewandowski's foot with the defender's foot, and then they literally used that as the frame for the offside. Like these types of things, it makes you question like whether VAR have like a higher average IQ than room temperature. Like the fact that the fact that they confuse Lewa's foot and they think he wears size 50 shoes, and they put the defender's foot as Lewandowski's foot, and that's where they put the line for the offside. If the fact that they like things like these happen so blatantly in La Liga against Barcelona, it just like makes you wonder. Like it just makes you wonder. Like it just makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder. Like it just makes you
Yeah,
wonder,
like it
man.
makes me wonder, and I actually think I have a this is probably my last analogy before we move on to the actual match review. Um, but it's like if you ask a girl out and she shoots you 9 times, like, and you die, and then you get resurrected, and you ask that same girl out again, why would you do that? That's kind of like what we saw. Like, if we saw that the referees last year made a terrible, terrible mistake, why would you go again and do another terrible mistake? And for me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, um, I just think like you need to learn your lesson and be smarter. So now going into the actual match review, after hating on the referees, Barcelona came in with a 11 match winning streak. One of the best seasons, winning streaks that we've had, probably since last season. And they were Sociedad were very bad defensively. They only had one clean sheet this entire La Liga season, and Barcelona actually had control of the first opening minutes, and then referee happened, bad luck happened. I mean, uh, Fermin's goal also as well with the referees, it was ruled out for a foul, and just like Greg Heffley, like I think the the referees in this game are too weak. They're too they can't control the game. They need to control the players. They need to just get their like get their mind on it and be able to thoroughly be able to like just control these big men.
Yeah, so like the referees, they like the power, like they want to be the star too often. The power's gone to the head. They want to control the players. They think they know the players from the inside out. And they just like it's absolutely disgraceful. I mean, they can't control the players. They can't control the emotions of the players. They can't control the players from the inside. I mean, the absolute like power that the referees have is absolutely disgraceful, man.
Yeah,
Shameful.
I think the referee like he wants to be the star too often, and it's really getting on my nerves, right? Like they try to take control of this game way too much. With the Fermin goal, it was ruled out for a very light touch by Daniel Olmo on Kubo, but I can see why they would rule that out. But just a couple minutes later, when Real Sociedad score, right before that, there was a clear foul on Daniel Olmo. He gets tripped up, and they're holding his shirt the whole time throughout that foul, and the referee doesn't say nothing. I think like that they just like they took control over this game. They controlled this game a little bit too much from the referee standpoint, and I think they just need to let the game breathe. Ariel said, we need to have like more passion. The referees need to back away from the game. They need to let the players play their own way instead of trying to be the main man.
Yeah, and also pretty much what summed up the entire game for me was um Kunde missing a header. Um, it hit the crossbar. And I think this entire season, um, it's been going pretty good, and like this game is just Koundé's header hitting the crossbar. Now, I think this game we showed that Barcelona had really good head game, and all their players did. But I don't know what you guys thought of that.
Yeah, throughout the whole entire season, Barcelona's head game has completely unmatched. I mean, if you compare it to everyone else's head game, like the head game of Barcelona is completely on top. I know everybody wants to be on top of Barcelona right now, but like Barcelona is just like uncomparable. Like the head game, I've never seen this type of head game in my life. I don't know if you guys have seen this type of head game, but like I've never like this is the best head game I've ever seen. Koundé was unlucky to score despite having good, incredible head game. And I think it just sums up Barca's night. They were just completely unlucky at times. I think they hit the post like 5 times. I mean, it just was completely unlucky. Uh, Barcelona players they just couldn't finish today. I mean, they created so many chances, but they couldn't finish in the opposition. Like they just like the system that Hansi Flick set up for them. It was perfect. Dani Olmo coming into the cam to retain possession. Dani Olmo did a great job replacing Rafinha, by the way, with the chance creation. But Barcelona's just couldn't finish on the position side.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up
Yeah, I
perfectly.
think
Like Barcelona, their head game is like, we're one of the shorter sides, but you know, even though it's short, we can still finish.
yeah. So I think Barcelona had a lot of opportunities in this game. That were presented to them, and Daniel Olmo especially, he should be executed tomorrow night because the amount of opportunities this guy missed is unfathomable. I think he really needs to hit the gym training center, therapy, Pilates, anything to be able to fix whatever's going on with him right now because he really needs to finish those opportunities he had right there. I think Barca got very unlucky in this game, but personally, I would rather Barca lose this game than any of the other games that we have coming up. You know, Barcelona haven't played at home in a whole entire month, and since December 16th, they haven't played at home. So I would much rather them lose this game away than, let's say, one of the Champions League games that they have coming up because the Champions League is very, very important for Barcelona now in the position that they're in order to win the upcoming games to secure a top 8 spot and the upcoming, La Liga games at home in order to, just get more control over La Liga. I think this game was one of the games where we knew it was going to be difficult coming into it, right? And with the side that Real Sociedad is and the strength that they're able to put up against the big sides, I think this game was, one of those games that we could have lost comparing to the ones that we have coming up.
Yeah, good analysis, Ayham. I think, like, you know, pretty much what you said. Nobody can fill Rafinha's hole. Um, Rafinha just leaves a big hole, and we saw this with an 11-game winning streak. And I think Rafinha just his hole is just too big to fill. Like, Rashford tried filling it, Olmo tried filling it, and nobody can seem to fill his hole. And like, he just finishes so well, and we saw this, with you know other attacking players, but nobody can fill his hole, and nobody can finish as well as he can. Like, I think he finishes quickly, he finishes efficiently, and you know his role in this team is just too big. And we saw this with a loss right after, he's out.
Yeah, so in the match preview last episode, we were talking about the amount of holes that Real Sociedad leaves in the defense. I mean, they have so many big holes in the defense. And Rafinha, if he wouldn't get injured, we all know Rafinha would have absolutely finished inside of those holes. He's one of the main finishers in Barcelona. And I feel like the hole that Rafinha left in the Barcelona squad, I feel like you can fit in 5 men inside of that hole, and they still wouldn't fill up that hole. With all of their finishing, they could all finish combined into that hole, and they still wouldn't be able to fill up that hole that Rafinha is left in this Barcelona team. And that just shows the importance that Rafinha has shown.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth. I'm gonna say the same exact thing. Right, like Rafinha leaves
I'm
such
glad
a
I
big
was in your
hole.
mouth.
Yeah, me too. So like he leaves such a big hole, and no one can really like fill it. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter how many men there are, none of them can really fill Rafinha. And the hole that he has is just too big for any of the players to fill.
Wait, I just wanna bring this in. Think of Rafinha like a walnut or like a chestnut, and then think of the other like players, attacking players as like little peanuts. Like you can nut 8 times inside of Rafinha, and you will still not be able to fill him up.
Yeah, it's sometimes like a peanut. There's sometimes like three little balls inside of the peanut, and that just symbolizes like all the men that could go inside of Rafinha's nut. So like I feel like a lot of men can fit inside of Rafinha's nut because like Rafinha is just that like big and huge and like humongous. You know what I mean?
You said it perfectly. Now, moving on, I want to talk about the Dro situation. Unfortunately, Dro is set to leave Barcelona for PSG. Now, my personal opinion on this is his agent basically made him up to be the next Lamine Yamal. He said you should be starting, you should be getting playing time when starting for a 17-year-old isn't normal. You know, we saw the story of Lamine Yamal, but that's because Lamine Yamal is just so class. But Dro, let's be completely honest, he's not that level. He's a great player, but he's not that level. And I'm just kind of saddened to see him go to PSG. We saw players like Xavi Simmons and Neymar who were at the top of their game or very exciting prospects and go to PSG to just flop. So I think at this point in his career, especially with the guidance of other older players, he could have grown drastically. Now, this is something that we see at Barcelona. It's the older guys being able to mingle around little children, and I think Barcelona is very good at doing this. And you know, the older guys can teach the kids how to finish. They can teach them how to touch the balls better. We can just see a lot of great aspects coming from the seniors being able to be with the kids.
Yeah, Barcelona have been absolutely grooming Joe for quite some time. I mean, the way I feel like I clap up Barcelona for this. The way that they've groomed all of their players, like all of their players combined, they've been groomed. Let's be real. And like like the ability of Barcelona to groom their players is absolutely sensational, man. It's like I actually have to clap it up for Barcelona because they like Pedri, he's been groomed since like what a baby, basically. I mean, he came out of his mom and he got groomed immediately. And then as well as Gavi, I mean,
Fact check,
so many
fact check,
players from
fact
Barcelona
check,
history.
fact check. Pedri actually hasn't been in Barcelona his whole career. He's actually at Las Palmas. So I think you need
Interesting.
to like check your information before I keep going.
And then Hansi Flick said that he doesn't want players that aren't invested in their system. He wants Barcelona to be tight. So I think that just shows that all of Barcelona players right now are really tight. Like all of them combined are really tight. And that just shows like the positive spirit in the locker room for them to be so tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Also,
think Johan Cruyff said
I think
quote something about that.
I think Croy said if you have
He
second
said,
second thoughts about playing for Barca, then we don't want you or something like that.
yeah, exactly that quote. Now, we also need to talk about the Ter Stegen situation. We just talked about seniors being able to coach the children, but uh, Ter Stegen's left. Here we go, confirmed, and we just I'm honestly I don't want to hear you guys' opinions because in my opinion that's not a great deal. Ter Stegen was desperate to leave. He needed to get that World Cup spot, and we let him go by still paying 90% of his wages while we're broke. I just don't think it's that good of a deal. And especially to our La Liga rivals, I don't see it, man. I mean, I get that he wanted to stay in Barcelona, but He's the one that's desperate to leave. We don't really need him to leave.
Yeah, so Barcelona have been grooming Ter Stegen for quite some time now, and then the thing is that Ter Stegen, he got injured. He had a fatal injury, right? And then Szczesny, he just busted all over Barcelona. So he just busted onto the scene, and then he completely replaced Ter Stegen. And then Joan Garcia, he busted even more. Like if you thought Szczesny's bust was humongous, Joan Garcia's bust was even bigger. So Ter Stegen coming back, he just couldn't replace Joan Garcia, and now he's seeing the repercussions. I mean, to be fair, it is what he did to a legend like Claudio Bravo earlier on in his career.
Yeah, I think with this deal, I think it wasn't really um expected for Ter Stegen to leave permanently and for Barca to get some money from it. So I think this deal as a loan deal, even though Barca's still paying 90% of the wages, I think it's good deal for him to get playing time before the World Cup, for him to, get back in shape and get back in form, and we could see what he does in the World Cup, and then it could get more traction from other teams in order for us to like properly sell him and then make money off of him, because I think if he wasn't to go out on loan during January, it would have been just an extra player in the squad that's not going to get playing time, and we weren't really going to benefit off him, because if he's not playing for a whole year, no team's going to want to buy him. So I think a loan move in January was the right option. Maybe more negotiation within the wages, but I think overall it was a good choice to let him go out on loan in the right before a World Cup year.
Your analysis is so good, Ayham. Thank you. Now kind of going back to Barcelona versus Real Sociedad. Barcelona are just 1 point on top of the league right now. Now, as Ariel said earlier, everybody wants to be on top of Barcelona. Like we're the ideal team, and we saw Real Madrid win against Levante, a team that's currently 19th in La Liga, with a penalty to start off the scoring. And guess who scored it? The Pichichi, Kylian Mbappe. He is a penalty merchant. I think La Liga should just change their logo to Mbappe kicking a penalty, because that's all he does. And the worst part is, it's not even a good penalty, a valid penalty. We saw him start to fall over before there was even contact being made. Now, it's just shameful. Like, if you're gonna play for a club that's won countless titles, that's regarded as one of the best in Europe, even though in reality it's a small, tiny club, at least have some dignity and respect to not win by stealing wins against teams that are 19th. Like, hello. And then their second goal was pretty good, but by that point, all the momentum was with Real Madrid because of that penalty. But I wanted to know what you guys thought of the penalty, and then we'll talk about the clapping situation later.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgraceful by Real Madrid to having to rely on penalties to win a game against an awful Levante squad. It kind of reminds me of how Morocco, like they were about to rob Senegal in that AFCON final, and it's absolutely disgraceful that they do this at home. They try to steal with penalties. I mean, I think all of these teams, they should be able to win comfortably, say by 5-0. They shouldn't have to rely on penalties to win games, and it just shows that something's not right in their squad. I mean, the tactics maybe aren't there. The players aren't dying on the pitch, and yeah, there's just something wrong.
Yeah, I think we've just seen this the whole season with Real Madrid having to rely on penalties just to beat smaller clubs. This is Mbappe's sixth or seventh penalty this season in La Liga alone for Real Madrid. That's pretty much the only reason he's top scorer right now. And having penalties come to you in that fashion, diving before you even make contact, and going back to the referees, that was given, and it wasn't anything called by VAR as well about that clearly being no contact made and still being given, and a goal to Real Madrid. That basically just sums up their whole entire history pretty much with referees, and how the class of their club and how they go about their way with winning games. We've seen this in the Champions League, we've seen this in La Liga, we've seen this countless times. Get your cat off the screen, it's not part of this podcast. And it's just the same thing that we see with Real Madrid all the time, and then their fans turn a blind eye when things like this get mentioned. And I think it shows the level of class that this club has.
Yeah, and I think like a perfect way to describe this is like triple T, um, turmoil, tactics, and truth. Triple T is just an essential part of how a club work. Turmoil, that's like you know, in a game, there's gonna be turmoil. Tactics, because Real Madrid, they're trying to get to know their new coach with the new tactics. And the truth is that Real Madrid just can't win without or can't have a good weekend without the refs doing something for them. And I think triple T is just a way of life and a way of analyzing football. And we also saw talking about classless club. Uh, it runs deep inside of Real Madrid. With the fans, the fans are truly classless. They're booing their players as they're being announced in the starting lineup and as they walk out. Especially, we saw players like Mbappe, Bellingham, uh, Vinicius, Carreras, all the players essentially, pretty much except for like the Courtois. But other than that, every single player got booed, and we actually saw the Madrid players consoling Vinny because he was on the verge of tears. Now, my way of thinking of this is, you can shoot a lot of blanks and you can shoot a lot of reds, but you're going to finish either way. So I don't understand why they're crying. Like, if someone says to you, like, you don't finish correctly or, you don't touch your balls correctly, you need to keep trying until you know how to, or you finally finish and reach that end goal.
Yeah, so going back to the Madrid fans booing their players, the way I see it, it's like there's a cockfight, right? And they're just watching a cockfight, and then there's a handler, and the handler, he knows the cock inside out. From the inside, he's groomed the cock, he controls the cock. He could say he has a good grip on the cock, right? And then all of a sudden, like the handler, he just gets like fired. He just goes away, right? And then the cock, they can't control the cock anymore. There's no one to grip it anymore. There's no guidance. There's no control. And it starts getting battered, and then the crowd just boos. So they panic, and then they start losing, and then I mean it's the truth. And what's happening with Real Madrid right now? Um, like the players have just gone out of control, and they just fired Xabi Alonso, and Xabi Alonso really wasn't at fault. It was really the players, and they have to do something quick.
Yeah, and I think the board of Real Madrid or directors or a higher up in Real Madrid, they actually mentioned the boos during the game, and they talked about how if the fans are booing us, if the fans are with us during our good times and our highs, but they're booing us during our lows, then they're glory hunters, and that literally just sums up all of the Real Madrid fan base. And I think they actually have a right to boo the players because I think the players are a bunch of like spoiled brats, and you can kind of think of them as bobs in a way
Disgraceful
that just
twats.
yeah, I think you can kind of think of them as if they're bobs in a way, the way that they just they get whatever they want and everything goes their way, and it's like the bobs getting all the guys that they want, and having the best time all the time. And I think the fans booing them for this, I think it's good. And I think Vinny especially deserves most of the boos because I think he's worse, actually, statistically speaking, and with the eye test, he's a worse player than Julian Newman at football.
Yeah.
So
And kind of like building off of what you said about being there at their best times and their worst, like we can kind of compare Real Madrid to Epstein in a way where like all the millionaires were with Epstein until he got caught. So I think, it kind of like Real Madrid, we can compare it to Epstein in a way. And I think there's a lot of parallels between those two. Now, talking about Real Madrid and like games, we should look at our next fixtures. Now, in the Copa del Rey, we got drawn to Albacete, a team that beat Real Madrid. Now, I wanted to know if you guys are scared about Albacete, are anxious, or excited to play them. They posted on their account that we beat Real Madrid. Now we got to play. Now we got to play Barcelona. I think this is a direct way of saying to them, like to Real Madrid, we're better than you if we beat Albacete. So I want to know what you guys thought.
Yeah, to be honest, for a club like Real Madrid to stoop down to the level of defending, losing to Albacete, it just shows their expectations of this current squad. I mean, obviously the fans think highly of the club. They've shown it in the past, but I feel like the ownership, they're just content with where they're at right now. I mean, they're asking the fans not to be upset with the players. I mean, I think the fans have the right to be upset with the players after the performances that they're giving. I mean, it's not like the players are giving their all, they're dying on the pitch, but they're losing. Nah, they're just walking around. They're just pissing around. They're paying them how many millions to walk around. I mean, it's absolutely a disgrace. I mean, that's what it is. It's a disgrace, man. I should see Mbappe absolutely dying. I better see him pass out on the pitch. I need to see Courtois. His big hands better not exist. I don't want to see him handle any other person. All right. I better see holes in his gloves. I better see humongous holes in his gloves because of the passion that he put into the game. But I'm just not seeing that type of passion right now.
Wait, so what was the question again?
What do you think of Albacete and being drawn against Albacete?
Oh no, I don't think I think it's gonna be that difficult of a game because obviously Barca's not Madrid. You know, Barca's a much higher club. They're a much better club. They don't lose 3-2 to a second division side that's battling relegation. So I think this was not going to be a very difficult game for Barcelona. I think because it's the quarterfinals, there's not going to be that much rotation in the squad by Hansi Flick. I think he's going to put out a pretty strong squad that would compete in games in La Liga, and I think it's just going to be a very simple game for Barca.
Yeah. Pretty much as you said, we're not like that small club Real Madrid. We're better than them. I think it'll be a pretty easy win. Now, moving on to our next fixture, actually, it's Barcelona in a Champions League night against Slavia Praha. Now, I I have some analysis on Slavia Praha. They held Bilbao, which we beat 5-0, and Atalanta to a 0-0 draw. And they have scored 0 goals in 4 matches this UEFA Champions League journey. So, not really the most convincing side. And they've lost their last 2 away games. And, I just want to put out a quick fact out there. Barcelona, every time that they've had an 11 or more winning streak, they've won a Champions League that year. Let it be known I said this. And, Barcelona, top of the league. We kind of lost a bit of form over the weekend, but I think we should be good. And I think one of the biggest news of the weekend and, biggest absences, holes that need to be filled again. Barcelona just has so many holes that just are going to need to be filled this midweek. Is Lamine is suspended for this game and Ferran is injured. So I don't know what you guys think of those 2 players and how big do you think their holes are?
To be honest, if Barcelona need me, I'm right here.
Insightful. Ayham?
Anything else? So
I said what I
I
said.
think now your turn to talk, bro. So Lamine Yamal is obviously suspended for this game due to yellow card accumulation, and Ferran is supposed to be injured for this game as well. But the good thing is Rafinha is probably going to be back, and I think it's going to be a very good opportunity for Rooney Bargi. I've seen what he's done in training. I've climbed him up a couple times, but he is pretty good. So I think he's going to be able to start this game and have a good performance against Slavia Praha. And it's an away game. It's very difficult game for Barcelona away at Slavia Praha. But I think this is a must-win game for Barca to secure top 8. We're 15th in the Champions League right now, 2 points away from the top 8 spot, and we really need to win our last 2 games in order to get that top 8. We don't want to play any extra games, any round of 16 qualifiers. So we really need to get to that top 8, and we really need to start off by winning this game right here. And I think with the potential that I see in Rooney Barchi that I saw from him yesterday in front of me, I think he's gonna be a very good option at right wing, and I think we should start by looking at our starting 11.
Yeah. With the starting 11, I mean you pretty much summed it up perfectly, Uh we need this win. So I think this is going to be the team that Hansi Flick lines up to get those 3 points and hopefully get us into that top 8 spot. Now in goal, nobody else but Joan Garcia. He just stops the shot so well. I think even though he's made me finish, he stops the finishing from the other team. And Balde at left back, Yeran Maldini and Kuku Kuarsi at my center back, and Jules Koundiri at my right back. Now, in my midfield, I'm having Pedri and Eri Garcia. I think those two are very suited for Champions League nights, and I think those two work very well off each other. Now, in my attack, I'm having Rafinha in my left wing. Hopefully, he'll be back after that knock, and he was just subbed out for that Sociedad game for, prevention. Fermin Lopez as well. He's a baller. I think after the Supercopa, he earned his spot in the starting 11. And Rooney Bargi taking over Lamine Yamal's spot. We saw that he did it against Bilbao, and Bilbao tied this team 0-0. So if he can do that against Bilbao, I think he can do anything. I think he can really penetrate this team. And at my striker, I think we're gonna have Lewandowski, Champions League proven finisher, finishes every Champions League game, and I think very, very solid player. What do you guys think?
Yeah, me personally, I think I would just take Joe Cancelo out wide, and I would actually shift Kunde into center back. We saw him playing this role with Sevilla. We just want to see, or I just want to see how he performs after quite some time for not playing that center back role. I know a lot of fans were expecting Kunde to start playing center back more now that Joao Cancelo is available to play that right back position. I think maybe Hansi Flick hasn't implemented this yet because Joao Cancelo, he maybe isn't up to Barcelona's standard just yet. He has to get some form. He has to get some sharpness up to be able to start consistently in that position.
Ayham, what's your starting 11?
So my starting 11, I have Joan Garcia at goalkeeper. I have Balde at left back, Eric Garcia and Kubarsi at center back, and Kunde at right back. I have Pedri and De Jong instead of Eric Garcia as my two midfielders, and I have Rafinha out wide at the left, Fermin Lopez at the 10, Rooney Bargi as my right winger, and Lewandowski as my number 9. And for me, I think Rafinha is going to be the most consistent player, my standout player in this game is going to be Rafinha. I think he's going to be the one. He's showed it in big games and in crucial moments that he is the one to help this team and to save this team. So I think Rafinha is going to be my standout player. He's going to save us in this game and help us get the 3 points towards top 8.
Yeah, I just want to credit Slavia Braga's right back Holes. Because he's had an incredible campaign. I mean, I just want to credit how big of a player Holes is, especially for that Slavia Praga. He actually started as a center back going out wide. And I feel like Holes is such a big like impact to this team. And I think Holes as a player should just be, like credited, and after having a great campaign, such an inspiration Holes is for, upcoming rising ballers.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I mean, Holes, he is a 32-year-old right back, but I think he's really filled in the role that was left after the other right back left. So I think Holes is going to be fulfilled, and anyway,
Yes.
my
With
standout player.
such
Sorry,
an
my
experienced right back. I think Holes may be a little worn out. Maybe his marking isn't as tight. But I think he still can deliver at the top stage. He may be a little loose in his marking, but hopefully, if he focuses enough, he won't get penetrated by Lewandowski and Rafinha. And yep,
yeah, maybe in this game if he
Yeah, I
locks
think
some of those
Holes
decent
really
tight
filled
holes,
that hole.
but yeah, exactly. Now, my standout player for this match will be Joan Garcia. If we've seen it enough these past few games, especially against little teams like Real Madrid, Joan Garcia always plays well. And I think if there was a betting market, I think he's one of the players that I think is most like probable to make me nut. So Yeah. What about your standout player, Ariel?
My standout player is gotta be Lewandowski up top. I can see him getting some goals. I don't think Coles will have a tight enough mark on Lewandowski. So I just see Lewandowski penetrating him every single play of the game.
Yeah. Funny. Anyway, yeah, I think you said it perfectly, and I think this game will end in a 4-0 win for Barcelona, maybe 4-1, but with Joan Garcia in the back, I see us keeping a clean sheet. Joao Cancelo also providing a lot of attacking options. He's not the best defender, but against small teams, he can do it. And as I said before, I think this will be a pretty easy game for Barcelona. I hope not to regret my words on that, but Slavia Prague, we've played them before and we've beat them before, so we can do this. And I want to know your guys' score predictions, but mine is 4-0.
Yeah, I've got to say mine is a 3-0 victory from Barcelona.
Yeah, I think Barca's gonna get a 3-1 victory in this game. I think there's gonna be some mistake in the defense, but I think Rafinha's gonna save us and get us out.
Yeah. And with that, I think we've pretty much wrapped up the episode now. Before I leave, I just wanted to say, as a Barcelona Peñista, I think this is my message from all of Barcelona to La Liga. Fix your refereeing. Your refereeing sucks. Gil Manzano, he's worse than the worst criminals on earth. Uh, you know, I think hitting a blind elderly baby is worse is better than being friends with Gil Manzano. Um,
An elderly
like
baby?
elderly babies exist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You clearly haven't been to Khartoum in Sudan. You would see them all over the streets there. But yeah, it's like hitting a deaf autistic child. That's what being like associated with Gil Manzano is like. And you know, I hate to see our Barcelona always being robbed, always being. It just doesn't make sense. It's like hitting a Panenka in a final. You just would never do it. But that's my take. Thank you for listening to Culer Corner. We'll be back next episode reviewing the Slavia Praha game, and we'll be talking more about tactics and more about filling holes. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back.